By 1995, over $100 billion in travelers' checks circulated globally. By 2010, they were nearly extinct. The story doesn't begin with their end, it begins with their birth. 1891, London, a man named Thomas Cook faced a problem that wouldn't seem like a problem today. How do you carry money across borders safely? Theft was common, currency exchange was chaotic, so Cook created a solution, a piece of paper issued by a bank, valid in multiple countries, replaceable if lost or stolen. The traveler's check was born. For nearly a century it worked. American Express entered the market in 1918, Visa followed. By the 1970s, travelers' checks were the standard, they were trusted, they were everywhere. A traveler leaving home would visit their bank, exchange cash for these checks, and carry them like currency except safer. The bank guaranteed them. If you lost one, you called a number and got a replacement. But the people selling travelers' checks in 1980 had no idea what was coming. Neither did the people buying them. The technology that would destroy the system wasn't invented yet, or at least wasn't yet obvious to the finance world. ATMs existed, credit cards existed, but they weren't global, not yet. The traveler's check still owned the market. 1990, the internet wasn't public yet, but banking infrastructure was beginning to change. Visa and MasterCard started installing networks in more countries. ATM networks began to link internationally. Slowly, a traveler could withdraw cash in a foreign city without needing a piece of paper from their home bank. The advantage of travelers' checks, their universal acceptance, was eroding. 1995, the web was public now, online banking was emerging. Visa and MasterCard accelerated their international expansion. More ATMs, more merchants accepting cards. A traveler could now do something impossible just 5 years earlier, arrive in Tokyo, walk to an ATM and withdraw yen instantly using a card. No commission, no waiting. The traveler's check had a competitor that didn't exist before. Here's what the banks didn't anticipate. The real threat wasn't just the card, it was the fee structure. Travelers' checks made money through commissions. You paid a percentage when you bought them. The issuer made money on the float, the time between when they received your cash and when the check was cashed. That model worked when there were no alternatives. When alternatives existed, the math changed. 2000, a new technology emerged. Online currency exchange services, not banks, not credit card companies. Small startups that let you exchange currency at near wholesale rates and transfer it electronically. They charged less, they were faster, and they worked from your home computer. The traveler's check system, built on the assumption that you needed a physical token, suddenly seemed anachronistic. But the collapse wasn't sudden. It was gradual. Banks kept issuing travelers' checks through the early 2000s. Volume declined slowly at first. A few percent per year, merchants still accepted them. The system still functioned. What was changing was the assumption travelers no longer needed them. They were optional now, a backup plan, not the plan. 2005. Mobile phones were becoming common, not smartphones yet, but the infrastructure for SMS-based banking was emerging in some countries. The idea of carrying a physical check, any physical check, was becoming harder to justify. A bank's profit margin on a traveler's check was shrinking. Processing costs remained high, volume was dropping, the economics no longer worked. Then came 2008, the financial crisis. Banks tightened expenses, they cut unprofitable product lines. Travelers' checks were first on the list. American Express, Visa, and other issuers quietly reduced their marketing. Some stopped issuing them entirely. They didn't make an announcement, they didn't hold a press conference. They simply stopped printing them. By 2010, the system had effectively collapsed. Not disappeared entirely, some banks still honored old checks, some merchants still accepted them, but the ecosystem that kept travelers' checks alive had fragmented. No one was promoting them, no one needed them. A technology that had dominated international travel for nearly a century became a relic in less than 2 decades. The speed of that collapse reveals something crucial about consumer systems. They don't die because they're bad. They die because something better emerges and the economics of the old system can't compete. Travelers' checks weren't destroyed by regulation. They weren't killed by a scandal. They were made obsolete by infrastructure, ATM networks, international card systems, and later, mobile banking. There's a second lesson buried in this history. It's about what the issuers of travelers' checks didn't see coming. They had a profitable business, they had market dominance, they had brand trust, but they didn't control the broader financial infrastructure. When that infrastructure changed, their product became optional, then irrelevant, then gone. Today, travelers' checks still exist technically. Some banks issue them, some people use them, but they're a curiosity now, a backup for people traveling to countries with limited ATM access. The system that once processed over $100 billion annually now handles a tiny fraction of that, not because the checks failed, because the world moved on. The collapse of travelers' checks is a case study in how consumer financial systems work. They're not permanent, they're not inevitable, they're contingent on infrastructure economics and the absence of better alternatives. When any of those elements shift, the entire system can unravel, not with a bang, but quietly over years, until one day you realize it's already gone. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Subscribe to explore how other systems we assume are permanent are quietly becoming extinct. There's a new economic mystery every week. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research.